Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At the beach home, Will wonders, how are you here right now? Luna tells him she risked everything to come meet him. Will sneers as Luna expresses her commitment to him and their potential life together on Bold and Beautiful. Here's why you might not mind. Luna looks around and tells him the seaside house is ideal for raising their family. Will shakes his head as if she's mad. Luna is the theme of the day at Forrester, and Ivy thanks Elektra for returning to the office to lock down the designs. She inquires as to the status of her relationship with Will. Clearly playing the foil, Ivy wonders if a beach house and sunsets can make up for the fact that he is expecting a kid with Luna. Ivy believes she is concerned about Elektra, who needs to put herself out there. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Elektra, understandably, just wants Will. It's difficult to think about what's ahead, but she needs to believe they'll get through it. At the Cliff House, Steffi and Finn are also discussing Will and Elektra. She hopes the Spencers are able to get through this difficult period with Luna. Steffi asks if he ever considers what may have been. Finn admits it, but Luna made awful decisions, and no amount of wishing or wondering can erase the facts. He's relieved she's behind jail. Steffi is still disturbed by being trapped in a cage by Luna, and she doubts she can ever get over it. Finn holds her. Bill admires Katie's strength in his house. He emphasizes that Luna is locked up if only he knew. On cue, Katie begins yelling about Luna taking advantage of Will and ruining his life. Bill reminds her that they will not let their son feel lost or alone. Katie says that they aren't excited about getting their first grandchild. Will was tricked, and his life has been flipped upside down. She worries that the child will be a reminder of its terrible, twisted mother. Deacon seats Lee at Il Giardino, and Poppy arrives to join her. The younger sister wants to get this over with. After Deacon falls asleep, Lee scolds Penelope for taking advantage of her son and rearing a monster. Poppy reveals she's having trouble believing Luna came from her. She no longer considers her daughter. Luna is dead to me, she says. Deacon comes up to say, that's pretty cold. Poppy reminds him that she killed Tom and Hollis. Deacon is convinced Luna isn't sorry about it. He despises her for not feeling guilt. Will informs Luna that she cannot simply walk out of prison and go about her life. Luna is agitated and refuses to lose him, especially to Elektra. At Il Giardino, Lee concurs with Deacon. Everything is a game for Luna. She wishes she'd noticed it sooner. They all agree that she deserves to rot in prison. At Bill's house, he promises Katie that Luna will have no involvement with the baby. She'll rot in that cage, suffering as she has made their family suffer. Continuing the theme, Elektra informs Ivy that Luna is in prison, and they will never have to worry about her again. At the Cliff home, Steffi will never forgive Luna for attempting to separate her from Finn, Kelly, and Hayes. She will always loathe his daughter. At the prison, the guard instructs the lump on Luna's cot to wake up. At the beach house, Will informs Luna that they don't have a life or a future together. She urges him to try. The life they create together will be far superior to anything he could conceive. She wants to be adored. Will says that he will never feel this way for her. He'll raise the baby, but it won't bring them together. The only thing he wants to know from her right now or ever is information on the baby. Luna grabs her baby bump. He inquires, how is the baby? Will stood in the kitchen of the small cottage he had rented for the last 3 months, the one with the crooked blue door and the overgrown rosemary that clawed at the windows whenever the wind blew down from the moor. Rain tapped on the window, like impatient fingers. The postman had already left. The single envelope lay on the table, where Will had dropped it after seeing his name scribbled in Luna's distinctive left-handed slant, the ink slightly smudged as if she had pressed too hard. He hadn't heard from her in 47 days. Not a text, not a voice message, not even one of the enigmatic postcards she used to send from train stations in countries whose names he couldn't say. 47 days of silence after 8 years of nearly constant conversation, of late-night calls that drifted across time zones, of shared playlists and inside jokes, and plans that always began with the words, when we finally live in the same city. 47 days since her last message, 3 words only. I'm sorry, Will. Followed by nothing. He turned the envelope over. There's no return address. The stamp was British and had been postmarked 3 days ago in Penzance. His hands shook as he inserted a knife beneath the flap. Inside, there was a single sheet of heavy cream paper, folded once. Her handwriting was dense and rushed, with larger-than-usual loops on her L's and G's, as if the pen was attempting to flee the paper. Will, if you are reading this, I am already gone. Not dead, I don't intend to be, but gone in the way that matters. You can't follow where I've gone yet.
Please do not try.
Please don't hate me for how I'm doing this. There is no clean way to leave someone you care about, especially if it is the only thing keeping them alive. I need you to listen. Really listen, as you used to when I talked too quickly about books, stars, or dreams that left me shivering at 3 a.m. This will sound insane. This is ridiculous. But it is also true, and the evidence is already within you if you know where to look. Do you recall the night we met? Not the official story we tell people, the gallery, the spilled wine, the quip about Monet's water lilies appearing inebriated. I mean, what actually happened? You were 26 years old, devastated, and stood on the footbridge over the Regent's Canal, watching the river because you didn't want to return home to an empty flat. I was 24, fleeing something I couldn't identify, when I saw you on the towpath. I knew you before you even looked up. I recognized the shape your sadness took in the air. That was not poetry, Will. That was recognition. We are bound. We've always been bound. Not in the nice, figurative sense that people use when they say soulmates. I mean, literally. Our lives are interwoven threads in something much older and larger than either of us, and it has been drawing tighter for millennia. Every time we meet, the knot tightens. Every time we attempt to live ordinary lives, it wounds deeper. There is a pattern and we are inside it. The only way to loosen the rope is for one of us to step completely out of the pattern. I have to be the one to step out. There is a place, many places, where the world appears narrower. You can feel it sometimes, a sudden silence in a forest, a room that feels too big for its walls, or the moment right before sleep, when anything is conceivable. I've spent the last 5 years learning how to walk through such narrow spaces. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to join me before you were ready. Because the crossing changes you, and once you've changed, there's no going back. They told me 3 months ago that the pattern was crumbling. That if I stayed, the knot would tighten, eventually killing us both, slowly, horribly, and publicly. An automobile collision. A brain aneurysm. Cancer that arrives overnight. They showed me the futures where we stay together. None of them finish with us old and gray on a porch somewhere. They finish with ambulances and police tape, and you cursing the cosmos for taking me first. I will not let that happen. So, I am doing the only thing I can. I am cutting the thread on my side. I am going through something, and I am not coming back the same way. If I do it correctly, the pattern resets. You get to live a long, average, delightful life. You get to love someone who doesn't drag death with her like a bridal train. You get to forget the pieces of myself that never quite fit into the world. But God, this is the selfish part. I couldn't leave until I told you the truth. Because forgetting altogether would be a different kind of death, and I'm not strong enough to sentence you to it. Look at your left wrist. You have a pale birthmark that resembles a crescent moon with a break in the curve. I have the identical mark on my right wrist. Images are mirrored. Do you remember how much we laughed when we first slept together? How did we arrange our arms in the dark and believe we were 2 halves of the same person? We weren't pretending. We are echoes of 2 people who lived 400 years ago in a village that no longer exists. Their names were Eluned and Gwilym. She possessed the ability to move between realms. He could not. Every existence since, we've found, loved, and lost each other in the same way. The story always ends in blood. Eluned always attempts to save Gwilym by departing. Gwilym constantly follows. They both die too young. This time, I refuse to play my part. I'm burning the script. A woman in St. Ives owes me a favor. Her name is Morven Rowe, and she manages the small bookshop with a ship's figurehead in the window. Go see her. Tell her Luna sent you and that the tide is finally out this time. She'll give you a package. Everything you need to know is within the box. Letters, images that shouldn't exist, and an ink-drawn map that still smells like salt centuries later. Read everything. Then figure out what you want to do with the remainder of your life. If you decide to follow me, and I know you will, and your stubborn heart, there are rules. You can only pass where the curtain is the thinnest, which happens only 3 times in a lifetime. The first occurred the night we met. The second is this year's winter solstice, which will occur just over a month from the time I write this. The third you will never receive, because I will make certain of that. If you come, you won't find the Luna you remember. I'll have shed her like an old skin. I'm not sure what will be left. Perhaps there's nothing to adore. Perhaps something will destroy you. So I beg you to choose the life I am offering you. Choose the gallery openings Sunday mornings in bed, and the children who will be your eyes, but not my ghosts. Choose to forget me. But if you can't, if the draw is too strong, as it always is, come to the solstice. Come to the stone circle above Zenner that the tourists do not visit. Stand in the center as the moon rises. Bring the token that Morvarin will give you. Say my name, not Luna, which I was born with but never told you because it belonged to someone else first. Say Elunid 3 times, as a prayer or a curse. And whatever you do, don't bring iron. It burns. I love you. I've loved you across oceans and ages, and through every poor decision we've made. I am loving you right now, and my tears are making the ink run. I shall adore you on the other side, even if I no longer know how to sign my name with a small moon next to it. Live, Will. Live enough for each of us. The letter slid from his fingers and fluttered to the floor like a wounded bird. It was always yours, and Luna exists everywhere. For a long period, he did not move. Rain kept falling. The kettle on the stove began to whistle, then scream, and then clicked off as the water boiled away. Will glanced at the spot where the paper had landed, at the wet boot prints he had unknowingly trailed across the tiles, and at the commonplace, concrete, unreal reality of the kitchen, which suddenly felt like a stage set that had been forgotten to strike. He knelt down, picked up the letter, and read it again. Then again. Each time, I expected the words to rearrange themselves into something understandable. They never did. When the sky outside had finally turned the color of tarnished pewter, he carefully folded the page, tucked it back into the envelope, and put on his coat. He had 33 days before the winter solstice. Will hadn't planned to return home so early that afternoon, but a cancelled meeting and an unforeseen desire for silence had ushered him through the front door without warning. What he discovered was everything but silent. Luna was pacing the living room, her hands slicing the air in quick, impatient gestures, and her voice, which was normally gentle and almost beautiful, had taken on an edge he had rarely heard. I told you I needed time, Will. She paused when she spotted him, but her demeanor did not soften. He dropped his keys into the wooden bowl at the door and took a deep breath. He knew the encounter was coming. He'd felt it growing for weeks, a pressure in the house's walls, silences, and half-finished statements. Today it had discovered him. All right, he murmured carefully, moving deeper into the room. Is it time for what? Luna pushed her fists to her temples, her dark hair flowing over her wrists. To think.
To breathe.
You're acting as if everything is already settled, and I haven't even said yes. Are you thinking about saying no? He maintained an even tone, but it cost him something. She finally looked at him, and her eyes were bright and restless, filled with dread rather than defiance. I don't know. Will moved to the sofa and sat with his elbows on his knees. I am not here to force anything on you, but I am not going to pretend that this issue is uncomplicated. It impacts both of us. And I need honesty, Luna.
Not dodging.
Not disappearing into your studio for 16 hours and calling it working through things. That's not fair. She flinched slightly. You knew what you were getting when you got involved with an artist. And you knew what you were getting when you got involved with someone who needs clarity.
He paused for a time before going on.
Luna wrapped her arms about herself. We can't build a future on guesswork. It isn't guesswork. It's fear. You want me to say whatever you want to hear. You desire certainty. And I can't offer you that. He stood and closed the gap between them. So give me something real. Tell me what you're afraid of. Her lashes fluttered down, and her voice almost broke. If I say yes, I will lose myself. If I say no, I'll lose you. He softly lifted her chin. You will not lose yourself, Luna. And you won't lose me unless you walk away. He stopped a beat, then gently said, but you can't keep living in the maybe. This midway spot is killing us both. Luna's breath shook. So what? Are you drawing lines right now? Yes. His tone was steady, not harsh, but obviously firm. For the two of us. We chat.
Today.
Not next month. Not after the next show. Today. She stared at him as if he had created a physical barrier between them. Perhaps he had a long overdue boundary. She opened her mouth to complain, but the voice faded before it could form. Will stepped aside to give her space.
Sit. Breathe.
Then we'll start chatting. He walked to the kitchen to give her a moment, but he could tell she was watching him the entire time. Across town, Katie paced her bedroom with the same frantic intensity Luna had displayed before, but for entirely different reasons. She clasped the folded ultrasound image in her hand, which was crumpled from the number of times she had opened and closed it. Bill had tried, sincerely tried, to console her, but his reassurance was too confident, too based on the assumption that with strength and willpower, everything could be resolved. But this was not something he could push through. No matter how many times he told her she wasn't alone, the anxiety persisted beneath her ribcage. She turned as she heard a gentle, timid rap at her door. Come in, she said. Bill went inside, bearing a tray of tea and the half-burnt toast he'd attempted, bless him, to make. His huge frame filled the entryway, but his demeanor was unexpectedly mild. You didn't eat breakfast, he explained. Figured I'd try again. She couldn't help but laugh lightly. You didn't have to. Maybe not, he answered, placing the tray on the dresser. But I wanted to. Katie leaned against the bedpost with her arms folded. Bill, I appreciate your efforts. Really? I wasn't expecting any of this. He approached her gently, like if she were made of glass. Nobody expects something this large. It just comes and you figure it out together. Her breath caught. That is exactly what scares me. Bill paused. Katie swallowed and forced herself to meet his stare. What if I am unable to do this? What if I am not strong enough? Or is it healthy enough? There is risk. You're aware of it. My doctor used the phrase, not impossible, a little too frequently. Bill stretched for her hand, and though she hesitated, she let him take it. There's risk in everything that matters, he replied softly. I'm not saying this is easy. And I am not about to promise you that everything will be perfect. But I am here. And whatever happens, we'll face it together. Katie's throat clenched. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, he said. But it's ours. Silence enveloped them, warm and fragile. Katie rested her head against his chest, and he held her carefully, as if any unexpected movement would shatter her. Though the fear persisted, something inside her relaxed. A breath was finally released. At home, Will returned to the living room with 2 glasses of water. Luna had not moved since he left her, yet her restless energy had subsided. He offered her the drink, and she accepted it without speaking. Okay, he replied, sitting across from her. Talk to me. She fiddled with the condensation on the glass. You want me to make a decision for our future? About everything? Yes. But I don't make decisions so quickly. I never have. My art, my life, has always been fluid and shifting. I follow my instincts. I follow my emotions. You adhere to structure. You thrive in it. We don't have to be the same, he explained, but we do have to meet in the middle. Her eyes brightened. What if I can't?